Hey everyone! So good to see you guys today on a Tuesday. Welcome to Sink to Swim. So we sink together so we can just keep on swimming on this cancer journey of ours. So we are so glad that you're here with us. I'm going to see if I can add Marty. Okay, we've invited Marty. Let's see if she can figure out how to join. I think, yay!
There we go.
Yay! It worked. The format seems a little different to me. I think they might have changed just a few little things and I never know. So I'm just glad that we made it and that we're together.
Yep.
So glad to see you and happy July, everyone. It's
Yeah.
so fun to be in the middle of summer with these long days. I love the long days and I'm already sad that they're starting to get shorter, but it's all good because it's going to
Yep.
be really hot for a while. Anyway, so today we wanted to chat about, there's a phrase that you have for this, Marty, but basically it's, you're dealing with something difficult and then another difficult thing happens.
hmm
And how do you make room
Yeah.
for the new difficult thing?
Yeah.
That's basically what I want to talk
Bandwidth.
about.
Dealing with the bandwidth.
Dealing with the bandwidth, because I feel like that's been my life for the last couple of years. It's
Yeah.
even before cancer, but especially once cancer hit, because then I had all this other stuff that I couldn't control. And, the bad news, and then more bad news, and then more bad, and then you're already dealing with all of the difficulties of life with just regular life that happens and disappointments and relationships that are hard. And so, like, for example, do you want me to give you an example?
Sure.
Okay. So, right after our pink sink tea, I had a really difficult thing happen to me. I had a few people that were really, really, they were treating me with a lot of disrespect. And it was really hard because it was affecting a relationship that I wanted to I was hoping to mend, and it was hard to see that just where it was going, and that I was um, there was not a lot of control, and even though I was trying to use respect, I wasn't receiving that, and so that was really painful, emotionally painful.
Yeah.
And then I had my back injury. Well, I don't even know if it was an injury, but my back got so bad that I could not walk. Like for several weeks, I couldn't walk except to go to the bathroom. And so those two things, on top of all the other stuff that I was already dealing with, they were really, it was really hard.
Mhm.
It was just kind of like it was piled up on top of one another. So anyway, what do you got?
I, I
How do you
mean,
help?
you're kind of asking like 10 different questions in one. Like, there's different ways to that scenario could elicit different questions.
Okay.
So in my mind, it's kind of like, okay, which way do we want to go with this? One of the things that I'm hearing is kind of a concern about like how do you kind of survive it and hopefully improve things when you are dealing with that many rough things at once, right?
Yeah.
Pain, any kind of pain, I feel like makes everything awful. It diminishes your energy, it diminishes your mood, it makes everything harder to cope with. Physical pain, like bleep, bleep, bleep. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I
It makes
I
everything
actually do.
so much worse. And
I
so then
Okay,
you're also dealing
Marty,
with the emotional disappointments and
thank you for just validating that,
yeah,
because I think, especially as women, sometimes we're just like, well, yeah, I'm dealing with pain, and that's just actually part of life now. And life has to go on, and people are counting on me, and I have to get up and do whatever needs to be done, like the laundry or make dinner or clean the toilets. And sometimes we're just like, yeah, that's just one more thing I'm going to have to hitch on my back and carry with me while I do all of the
Yeah.
regular stuff. So thank you for
Yeah.
just validating that.
That's like that, like if we have little gas tanks, like pain, physical pain drains it so fast. And then you add basically the emotional pain that you were dealing with of that strained relationship. Those things drain the tank and leave you physically depleted. To think that, I've talked about this before, but like we think, oh, like it's just an emotional issue. It shouldn't be affecting how I can function. Wrong. Like it affects us deeply, deeply. And so basically, like you were spending the way you were wishing that you could still function, even though you had both of those two big heavy things, and basically being really hard on yourself that you weren't functioning better while you were carrying those two big heavy things. Like the image that comes to mind um, is that horrible scene in Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail where there's like that knight and they cut off his arm and he's like still gonna fight with the other arm and they cut off his legs and he's like, I can still bite you. Like, like you were incapacitated and feeling bad that all you could do was, you know what I mean? Like the things you were dealing with were legitimately draining and legitimately difficult.
Yeah.
And sis, I wish I had a magic wand that could be like, if you do this exercise and if you breathe like this 3 times a day, then when you have a massively emotional issue and a massively physical issue, your legs will grow back and everything will be okay. Like, oh man, sometimes life just full on sucks.
Yeah.
And that is freaking hard to wade through, right?
Yeah.
And can't fix you can't fix the larger issues like you'd want to.
Yeah.
I've realized one of the things that's hard for me in my life is I approach my life just wanting to fix it. I just want to make it better.
Yeah.
And we don't always get to. And so sometimes you've got to bring it down to just, okay, I've got this massive emotional thing that's eating at me. I've got this massive physical thing that's eating at me. How can I just take care of myself in the moment? Because I can't deal with the larger crap. I
Yeah.
mean, sometimes we can, but it's in like painfully baby steps, right? Some of the problems that we are facing are massively long-term problems. And so even if you take a good step towards fixing it, it doesn't feel any different yet,
Yeah.
which is so hard.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying because after that situation, with the people, I distanced myself and set some boundaries for myself, but, and that was empowering to me. I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I'm not going to allow people to treat me that way. I don't need to do that. Even if I was hoping that it would lead to a better relationship with, anyway, I don't want to go into details, but I did set some boundaries and that felt really good, but it's still not like resolved in my mind.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that it will ever be resolved, but I do need to get to the point where it's not weighing on me because there's really nothing I can do about it. And sometimes I just will think about it and think, well, what if I did this or what if I did that? Could I help this somehow? And I need to stop wasting energy on it because I've tried for years. So I need to
Okay.
figure out how to say, I'm going to let go of that one.
So that the question I would ask you based on what you just said to me is like it sounds like part of what's bothering you is what you feel like that strained relationship says about you.
Hmm.
And
Possibly.
and so that's the question I would ask and invite you to explore. What do you feel like that strained relationship is saying about you? Is it still bothering you because you feel like it means you're a failure? Is it still bothering you because you feel like somehow you're, um, you know, messing up an eternal relationship? Like, what do you feel like it's saying about you? And is it even true? That's, like with a therapist or with a coach, like they can push you. That's one that if you're going to do on your own, you're going to have to push yourself, which can be
Yeah.
hard with the
Yeah.
painful questions. But are you believing a lie about yourself, and that's why you can't let this go?
Hmm. Yeah. I don't want to say, I guess that's
Yeah,
a
this is
private
this is one for you
conversation.
on your own, not for live. But usually when something is bothering us, there's a fear at the root of it. And usually it's a fear about ourselves,
Hmm.
a feeling of inadequacy, a feeling of powerlessness, a feeling of failure, like down, down at the root. Like we like to deal with the surfacey version. Do you know what I mean? That's why if somebody gets scared, the thing that they'll snap into really fast is anger. We would rather be angry than fearful because it feels stronger. But it
Hmm.
also keeps us from dealing with what was further down, which is the actual fear. And so you're feeling some top level things that are bothering you. Start digging deeper and asking yourself questions about that. How do I, how, what do I think the situation says about me? Do I believe that? Is it really true? Do I need to keep carrying that? Do I need to keep owning it? You're not going to stop being sad that the relationship is strained, but you don't have to keep letting it weigh on you. Does that distinction make sense?
Yeah. So if you've dug down and done those things that you're talking about, then how do you set it aside and not let it take up so much of your emotional bandwidth?
That is what helps you set it aside.
Oh.
Because if actually what you're believing, like let's just say that the fear is that that what's bothering you about this relationship, let's say you dig really hard and you're really honest with yourself, and what you get down to is that you're afraid that what this strained relationship means is that Cami is a failure and she's ruined eternity. Like, that's really extreme,
Yeah.
right?
Hmm.
And once you've gotten to that and asked yourself, okay, does this really mean that I'm a failure? Am I really so powerful that every single relationship that I'm a part of is all up to me and is only dependent on how I handle it? No. Like once we get to what the real, and have you really ruined eternity? Do you really think you have that much power? Like once you get down to the real fear, you can ask yourself, oh my gosh, is that even realistic? And when you like, no, that's dumb. I'm not a failure and I haven't ruined eternity. The power over you is dissolved by you getting to the root of it and facing what's really true.
That is beautiful. I
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah.
And then when I feel it creep back up again, I can just say, oh, but remember, I don't have
Hmm.
the power to ruin eternity.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you can just go back to that resolution or that.
Because you'll get variations on it, right? Like I like to say the the fears that we have tend to have themes. They tend to fall into categories. And that's another exercise that helps you discover what your themes are, what your negative categories are. Like, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
Once you discover what they are, it's easier to recognize which one is following into which category. And so you might have a negative thought and be like, ha, that falls under, I don't have power to ruin eternity. Next. Silly,
Yeah.
silly lie. I don't have power to ruin eternity. And you'll be able to recognize that the thoughts are falling
Yeah.
into the, I've ruined eternity. I'm a horrible mom. Like, we tend to have categories.
Yeah.
And you can be like, good try.
Right.
And you just move on.
Okay. You can just watch that with curiosity and see,
Mm-hmm.
come in and recognize it for what it is and put it in its right spot. Like,
Yeah.
oh, that's where you belong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
That's really good. Awesome.
So get out your notebook, spend some time writing and asking yourself the hard questions. If it's getting intense, like, don't be afraid to give yourself a break if you need to.
Yeah.
But I will encourage you to use what my therapist calls gentle self-discipline. Like, don't be too hard on yourself, but also don't be too easy on yourself. And if you're getting to something that is really deep, it's likely to stir some stuff up for you and be hard for you to face, but don't chicken out too fast.
Mm.
You
Yeah.
know? And go ahead and do that digging, do that work, and I think you'll feel way lighter.
Maybe just say, okay, this is really uncomfortable. I don't really want to do this, but I'm going to stick with it for another 2 minutes or something, or 1 minute
Sure.
even.
Yeah.
Okay.
And once you get over that hurdle, you might be able to keep digging,
Okay.
or you might be able to go, yeah, that was good for today. I'm done.
Okay.
But don't let just a sense of overwhelm scare you off, because that's your brain trying to say, oh, we can't deal with this. We can't deal with this.
Yeah.
And you can do more than you think you can.
Okay. If you're feeling safe, if you're in a safe place and
Yeah.
comfortable and
Yeah.
that's really great. Great stuff. You have all kinds of great ideas. So thank you so much.
Good. You're
Love it.
welcome.
Okay, we are going to be doing this every other week or so, even through the summer. Hopefully our vacations line up. Actually, I'm kind of done with my vacations, honestly. But we hope that this helps you guys. I know that when cancer hits, it doesn't mean that all of your other problems go away. I wish it meant that all of the other problems went away and that you were just like, oh, cancer, that's it. So that's all you have to deal with is just cancer.
Just
But that
trade
was
all the other ones in for cancer.
right. Like that was
That
definitely
might be
not
worth
my,
it. I don't know.
no,
No?
not worth it. Not worth it.
Okay.
But unfortunately, that's not how it works either, is that life keeps
Yeah,
happening. And sometimes cancer just complicates the
for sure.
problems that you already
Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of what happened in my case. Like it complicated
Just a
some very,
magnifier.
yeah, it's a magnifier. So anyway, we got this. We'll just sync up together and just keep swimming. So thank you, Marty. You're awesome.
Hey,
And
you're welcome.
everybody, we love you guys. And we're going to keep sending good material and good content out to help you guys. So good luck on your
Hey,
cancer journey. Love you.
rock on. Happy 4th
Bye.
of July.
Happy 4th of July.